Steve.
Hey, Jeffrey, thank you. Really beautiful. Yes, I'm Steve Dickison. I'm director of the Poetry Center at San Francisco State University and a poet. And we've brought together a group of people with deep relations to Palestine today for us. And I wanted to just say that it's an honor to be present to all of you and all of your voices and faces and words in the sense of lending a common presence to the situation of the Palestinians right now. And as someone said earlier, the Palestinians are teaching us and leading the way. And I really feel deeply about that. I feel that it's up to us to persist in our support and our urgency, and to do what some of the people inside cannot do with our so-called liberty here. I'm going to introduce the four poets together, and then they will each read in turn. And Deema Shehabi is the author of 13 Departures from the Moon and co-editor with Bo Beausoleil of the anthology Al-Mutanabi, Street Starts Here. She's also co-author of Diaspora with Marilyn Hacker and a winner of the 2018 Nazim Hikmet Poetry Competition. Nathalie Khankan is the author of Quiet Orient Riot, a book of poems on fertility, birth, and motherhood in occupied Palestine. Priscilla Wathington is a Palestinian-American poet living in the Bay Area and the author of the chapbook Paper and Stick. And finally, Zeina Hashem Beck is the author most recently of O, winner of the 2023 Arab American Book Award for Poetry. Her other books include Louder Than Hearts, which won the 2016 May Soughton New Hampshire Poetry Prize, and To Live in Autumn, which won the 2014 Backwaters Prize. Deema Shehabi is up. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Steve. This solidarity is so important. I'm going to start with reading a poem by Maya Abul Hayat. It's called Mothers Arrange Their Aches at Night, and this is translated by Fadi Judah. Mothers arrange their aches at night. Joint pain, high sugar, rheumatic ailments, a boy who missed school because of a cold. Mothers feel sadness for mysterious reasons, like sadness over other mothers who stand in public streets holding photos of their sons' well-groomed faces with sideburns and mustaches, waiting for the camera to capture them and their chapped hands. Mothers who hold up the house beams, open windows, air out carpets on roofs, expel moths from the hearts of abandoned mattresses in case a visitor arrives. Mothers who stipulate no conditions for return, arrange their aches at night and wash their daughters' hair with oil. In bed, they toss and turn. And when they fall asleep, they snore and give the house a name and a voice. That was Maya Abul Hayat, again translated by Fadi Judah. I'm going to read one of my poems which is an ode to my uncle from Gaza. He was a poet and much revered figure, a much loved and revered figure in our family. I think of him greatly during this time. This poem is called Nahid. The mu'adhin gripped the minaret's head and dipped it into the sea. Water in the submerged prayer's voice rushed ahead. A voice like water reached the cemetery deep within the city. They didn't believe he crushed a girl's ribs with just one hug. They didn't believe he crushed her ribs in an orchard full of pines. She forbade the children to shout his name across the house walls. Instead, Whisper it to the grapevine where salt in its veins will mix with tears cried over him and strangle the gardener's nose. He pricked her with a poem for his dead mother and then composed a wedding song for the newlyweds and stitched it across the sky between the moon balcony and pink jasmine, between Jerusalem and Gaza, between the olive and lemon. I want to break this house with sobs, he said, each sob for a lost sister, each sister a blossom from the vine of Lady Banks' rose. Heat from the sun's sweat condensed the sweat on his forehead, which fell into a poppy that grew out of a rock as seen by a tourist from Norway. Her head on his chest next to a bubbling fountain on a Sunday in a garden in Damascus. His voice muffled the faint cries of the tortured in the wind. Faith can't be measured by how far an eye can see, he said to her once as she wiped mascara from her eyelids. She said to his son as he walked along the pier, I was selling sardines at the fish market with my 10 children, and he gave me a box full of lemons, oranges, and grapefruit from a heavenly orchard. How could you allow a womb full of adjectives to break off from my body, she whispered as they swung low on a hammock in autumn. That was for Nahid. I'll end with Qasida of Breath, which is a very old poem. Qasida is a short lyric poem in Arabic. The call to prayer at 5 a.m. spreads my fingers over the scars of apple trees. And the smell of earth in my love's hair makes hummingbirds race into the buds of fuchsia. Not so long ago, the air grew soft when the sun crawled from rock to cloud. And I would pray to everything sacred, and I would bow and stare deeply at the earth and walk through old cemeteries to find the dead softly gazing. Sometimes you breathe red poppies over the hills in Palestine, and I see girls with orchards of almond trees in their eyes and old men strolling silently among burned villages. And I can't say how I love my people. And I can't tell my love how to leave our land without weeping. And I can't always not love this land. Thank you.
Salamun la Gaza, salamun li Palestine. There is no howl, no wail, no keening wide enough for the grief of this moment. I'm honored to be a voice in the choir of voices today. I'll read first a poem by Palestinian poet and playwright Dalia Taha. It is titled, The Man and His Girlfriend Who Argued All of Last Night and Now Stand at a Pharmacy in Our City to Buy Medication for Headaches. In beautiful translation by Lina Khalaf Tufaha. Look over there. The sea isn't visible yet, though we've been driving for 2 hours, though we've begun to feel its hot, moist air, though our clothes are sticking to our bodies. In the car, we eat grapes and don't talk, as if this our bodies is how we communicate now, how our souls trade words or strikes. We're on Highway 6. I'm on the phone making sure we didn't take the wrong exit. You're asking me to pass you something. And with the same heads that crossed the checkpoint, the same neutral expressions that waited while the soldier looked over our papers, we turned to take in the empty hills. Completely empty. There's nothing that speaks of the Arab villages, I note, and you nod your beautiful head. Even the silence that envelopes the scene after a massacre and never leaves it. the silence that clings to rocks and trees and is released by the soil like fumes. That particular kind of heavy silence, you know what I mean. You sense it when you visit the hills of Rwanda or Bosnia. You feel it instantly. You don't understand how it happens exactly, but you move backwards as though you aren't stepping on grass, but on the gasps of the dead. As if what extends from the trees aren't branches, but the dead's last words standing upright, crows alighting on them. They try to get rid of the silence with highways and the thrum of moving cars. They tried skillfully to remove everything. Then they tossed their white gloves on the grass. I feel like I'm performing, like nothing about what I'm doing is real, as if what I'm wearing underneath my clothes isn't a bathing suit but a ghost. No one can return those villages to the hillside. It's over forever. This is a fixed truth. I realize this on the way to the sea, and a strange grief fills me. The sea that isn't visible yet, as if it too knows and has disappeared. And nothing but the sweat oozing from our bodies tells us it's there. And because words between us have come to an end, without saying it out loud, together we long to meet it, while the white gloves on the hills slowly grow into poison flowers. And next I'll read an excerpt from my poem, Coming from Such a Town. We are who we mourn, and we're also who we celebrate. And this poem rejoices in the birth of the daughter of Walid Daqqa, Palestinian political prisoner, writer, intellectual, and organizer in Israeli prison for over 37 years. This poem celebrates the birth of his daughter Milad, born in 2020, a child conceived impossibly, a child inconceivably wanted. Coming from such a town. This morning, I spent 23 minutes in one of Walid Daqqa's prison letters. Walid's letter is a liberated letter. The rain is coming, it ends. His sentence is long. You'll remember Walid's smuggled sperm before you'll remember his smuggled writing. There is a parallel time, he wrote. You should know Walid's writing. There's only a tiny tract of time when you can hide something viable inside a fruit. There's only a tiny tract of time when you can hide something living inside a tender cigarette lighter. Imagine Walid concealing what he concealed inside a gutted pen tucked inside a Napolitano bag of square chocolate wafers. For every missed one, there is a missing one. There are 1,000 replicas of that husband, that brother, that son, that if I turn to you, I turn to those lines on faces that are easy on eyes. His sentence is long, parallel his time. There should be a song about that picture of Ahmed's twins, that picture of Sundus and Noor at home, sitting under that graduation picture of their father, each a twin. A father is far, his sentence is long. There's a second smaller picture sitting in the corner. There's two of everything, in fact. On the wall, 2 mosques with green domes. It's somewhere you want to arrive by morning when it brightens. The girls' dressers are colors likable with flowers. The sofa is tufted and doubled and pillowed. A relative carried Ahmed's sperm. Dr. Salam carried the vial. Hanadi carried the 2 embryos. Sundus and Noor with all their legs holding distance like a bird. There's only a tiny tract of time when you can hide something. Imagine Walid concealing what he concealed inside a gutted pen tucked inside a bag of chocolate wafers. You can almost hear us choking up from here at the call of a distant birth, harder than elliptically the sun, harder than a lab technician writing, hero of the future, writing the name of the future on the face of a vial, the motility of which, the hand that placed the vial infused with metabolic energy, the hand that squeezed, the hand that captured, the hand that held, the hand that hit. Listen to the hand of a lab technician writing, hero of the future, on the face of a vial. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Thanks to Steve and the Poetry Center and the organizers who have worked so hard to put this all together. And to the readers all over the world, I am so grateful for every word that is spoken against this genocide. Our words are our spirit, and our spirit is infinite. I'm going to start with a poem by Hala Alian. It's called Revision, and I'll be reading an excerpt of it. I don't mean to hate the sparrows. I don't mean to close my eyes and see fire, a flood of concrete, leaflets the size of grotesque snow. I don't mean to rehearse evacuation that isn't mine, from the grocery store to the house, from the house to the river, from the river to the airport. Here are the rules. There is a road and it's gone now. There is a sea and you can't drink its water. How far can you carry a toddler, a middle-aged dog? How far can you go in 65 seconds? 11? If you have a favorite flower, now is the time to redact it. If you have a mother, now's the time to move her to the basement. If you don't have a basement, I don't mean to profit from this poem, but I do. I don't mean to say but I do. Here are the rules. The rules are redacted. Redacted is redacted. Redacted is a red herring. Redacted is a billboard with 583 names. Here are the rules. I had a grandmother once. She had a memory once. It spoiled like milk. On the phone, she'd ask me about my son, if he was fussy, if he was eating solids yet. She'd ask me if he was living up to his name. I said yes. I always said yes. I asked for his name, and it was redacted. I dreamt of her saying, redacted, redacted, redacted. How deep in the earth can you burrow with your 4 hearts? Here are the rules. There is no bomb shelter. There is no ship. You can leave. Why aren't you leaving? You can resist. Why aren't you resisting? On the phone, my grandmother would call me her heart, her soul, her 2 God-given eyes. She'd ask if I wanted to visit Palestine again. I never brought her back any soil, but she liked one story, so I'd tell it again, about the man I met at the bus station, a stranger until he spoke Arabic, calling me sister and daughter and sister. And I told her how he skipped work and drove me past the gardens to the highest point, and we waved to Beirut. I waved to her, and later she said she was waving back. Never mind her balcony faced the wrong direction. Never mind the sea a terrible blue. Never mind that there never was a sun. Here are the rules. If you say Gaza, you must say redacted. If you say redacted, you must say redacted. Here are the rules. If there is a microphone, do not sing into it. If there is a camera, do not look it in the eye. Here are the rules. You can't redact a name once it's been spoken. If you say redacted, you must say redacted. If you say Gaza, you must say Gaza. If you look, you must look until there is no looking left to do. If you want to see the whole poem, it's up on Guernica Mag. It's called Revision, and it's by Palestinian American poet and novelist Hala Alian. It's a really amazing poem. I'm also going to read just a really short one from me. It's called Dull Swing. Before I was myself, I was her. All the animals she stopped seeing. The angels who came down to dress her in blackberry crowns and tatris. Beloved doll on a garden swing when flames took a city. Our black curls melted onto fracturing cheeks. One honey eye got stuck open, watching the burned enter the street. They are still entering. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Steve. Thank you to the organizers. I'm going to start by reading a poem in Arabic by Murid Barghouti from his collection Midnight. Midnight is a long book-length poem that is translated into English by Radwa Ashur. I'll read an excerpt in Arabic, which I particularly like. In it, a child is entering an orange orchard and almost faints from the sweetness of the smell, and his grandfather picks him up and says, "Do oranges kill you, boy?" And I love that. I always repeat that line, "Do oranges kill you, boy?" It's an excerpt that I feel is about love and poetry and Palestine. الآن في أرض ليست هي الأرض أتذكر والمرء يتذكر ما لم ينسه أبدا أجراسا بيضاء ممسوسة بذهب الضحى أم أنها الزهور في حديقة البرتقال والليمون رنت على آذار أغصانها تقول ما الفرق؟ أنا سمعت صوتا يلمع جذبني من قميصي الأول الابتدائي ناداني وحدي إلى الحديقة الصغيرة دخلت من بابها لاهيا وفجأة دخت من رائحة الزهور ولولا ذراع جدي سقطت في إغماءة من لذة وموت هناك دائما يد لولا انتباهها نموت فضحتنا أيقتلك البرتقال يا ولد؟ وقال لي كأنه قال لي ستعرف كيف تعشق امرأة يا ولد وستكتب شعرا كعبد الوهاب من هو عبد الوهاب يا جدي؟ هو مجنون القرية لم يفعل إلا الشعر ولم يترك إلا الشعر وقال لي كأنه قال لي لن أطمئن عليك أبدا كانت الغيوم درجا هابطا من مركز السماء كان التراب من قهوة وهال كان المذياع الخشبي أحدث الاختراعات يذيع ما لا نفهم فركت ورقة البرتقال بين كفي فركتها لأشمها كما نصحت وفي طريق يدي إلى أنفي أصبحت لاجئا بلا وطن. I'm going to read a sonnet of mine that I wrote recently. It's also a palindrome, so I'll read it from top to bottom, and then I'll read it from bottom to top. This is Southern Sonnet. I try to write you a love song, but doors keep opening into endless walls that keep becoming gravestones. And I want to sing you a song of cyclamens, of mountains and blue. I ask and fear my answers. If I sharpen my rage, will it cut through grief? We feed on names and nightmares. We repeat when our children are born, may your days be more beautiful. In the South, journalists are murdered and rainwater is forbidden and mournful like poets. On this northern continent, strangers sell smiles with large birds and murderous thanks. We came here to lose language and praise barren peace. We came here to lose language and praise. Barren peace smiles with large birds and murderous thanks. On this northern continent, strangers sell rainwater, forbidden and mournful like poets. In the South, journalists are murdered and born. May your days be more beautiful, we repeat. When our children are grief, we feed on names and nightmares. If I sharpen my rage, will it cut through mountains and blue? I ask and fear. My answers? I want to sing you a song of cyclamens, of walls that keep becoming grave. Stones and doors keep opening into endless. I try to write you a love song, but thank you, and free Palestine.
Thank you so much, Zeina, Priscilla, Nathalie, Deema. And I want to close our segment with just a brief fragment, one stanza, an early translation of Mahmoud Darwish again. This from a translation by Rana Kabani. The one stanza from the poem Beirut. Do you know the dead? I know the ones unborn. They will be born beneath the trees. They will be born under the rain. They will be born from stone. They will be born from broken glass. They will be born in corners, from defeats, from mirrors. They will be born from shrapnel, from bracelets, from blossoms, from stories. They will be born and they will grow. They will be born and killed. They will be born and born and born. Thank you.